Well, what up, everybody? Happy Sunday. Hope you all had a wonderful Sabbath with the church. Got some good uplifting, a good word, a good message, some encouragement to get you going for the rest of the week. I know I did. Praise the Lord. Hope you did as well. But based on, I got to after lunch with mother-in-law on Sunday, and of course I got to get on this thing, man. Contagious, right? And people are going off on the transfer portal and some of the former players. And I just want to talk about it. I want to take some questions. Christian will join on a little bit later. But, when you get to the chat box, leave some questions there, thoughts and comments. I'm going to read a bunch of them. I want to make this really, really, conversational with you. I want to say some things. I know a lot of people don't like what I say. That's cool. That's the world. They have a freedom and a right to do that. Disagree, don't have a problem. Just don't make it personal. I try not to do that. But I try to tell you things from one, if you don't know my background about being, Alabama, why I'm an Alabama fan, blah, 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 blah. So let me just kind of refresh who I am. I'm the father Christian. Many of you who are Alabama fans know Christian. Christian played at Alabama for Coach Saban, two-time national championship outside linebacker. He was a captain 2019. Won most outstanding defensive player senior year for the Tide. He got drafted. I'm his father. Okay. We do a radio show together, which you can, if you're in Tuscaloosa, I'm here in Columbia most of the time, but I still cover the Tide, right? Tide 100.9, 1230 AM WTBS. My background is I played here at the University of South Carolina, SEC school. I was drafted by the New York Giants. I played beside Hall of Famers like Lawrence Taylor for 3 years. I started on the other side. He retired in 93. I retired in 2001. Okay. I played defensive end / linebacker at South Carolina. Played all 4 linebacker positions at the New York Giants and the Vikings. So I want to give you that football has been my love for a long time. Okay. I coached it. I ran a indoor team. I was a GM as well for an indoor team. I coached. I was a chaplain for NAIA team. So I've been to every level. I was a coach at Spring Valley High School here in South Carolina. I coached my son his senior year. So I've been around all kind of levels of this game. Plus, I still work with athletes today, mentoring through my Christian ministry, Giants for Christ. I am an ordained preacher. Used to be a pastor, but I don't do that no more. I do more boots on the ground stuff, just so you know who I am. Okay. Now, what I'll say about this transfer portal and seeing some of the comments, and I know with social media, listen, we get upset when you said player leaves your team, goes somewhere else. We're talking about all the stuff that's happening with the portal. We know what it's about, guys. We know it's about money. It's about the bag. It's about players going to do what's best for them. And I said today in my ex, let's look at Kalen DoBoer, right? Kalen DoBoer worked his way up the channel. He NAIA 3 national championships, Fresno, Indiana, Fresno 2 years, I think, and then Washington 2 years, had a big winning streak. He did his thing. Nobody's knocking that, right? But Kalen DoBoer has used these deals to take care of him and his family, to move up, to get the best job. Well, he got the best job that you ever can have in college football. Nobody can be mad at that. But let's be honest. Kalen DoBoer made decisions that was best for him and for his family. Now, I can look at it 2 ways. I can look at it and go, hey, Kalen DoBoer totally peed on a lot of young men at Washington. Washington gave Kalen DoBoer an opportunity. He excelled at a very high level, played in a national championship game, 2-time coach of the year, Pac-12 champions. I can give him all of that. Then, boom, another opportunity comes, and he found a prettier girl. He found a prettier girl, more sexy girl, more appealing girl, one that Everybody's talking about, well, who was that girl? That girl is Alabama football. And so he made a decision to take this opportunity, even though that girl that he was dating, the Washington Huskies, offered him double his salary, wanted him to stay. They gave him this major opportunity. So I can look at it that way and say, well, Kalen DoBoer poo-pooed on the Huskies. No, but Kalen DoBoer is maximizing his opportunity. I can't be mad at that. How can you be mad at a man for going to take over for Nick Saban? Now, some might say you're crazy because the man that normally takes over for the GOAT, the guy, normally don't fare well. It's normally that second or third guy. And then you look at the players. Well, the players have choices to make. And on the outside, and I say we as fans of Alabama, say Isaiah Bond, let's say Amari Niblack, let's say guys like that that's going to say, well, I don't know these guys. They didn't recruit me. I don't have any kind of relationship there. I got crazy potential. I got crazy years. I got people that's coming at me now offering me all kinds of money, cars, and these types of things. Right? Do I sit back and do I trust these new people that I have no idea who they are? Do I trust Nick Saban? Do I trust Greg Byrne and say, hey, guys, stay, man, give it a chance? Or do I go to guys that's been recruiting me at Texas? Do I go to guys that's been like, Sark? And do I go to teams that like, Ole Miss or Kirby Smart, people that I know that have been recruiting me the whole time for years, that I've built a relationship, even though I chose Alabama and Nick Saban, his culture, but now you're asking me to trust somebody new? Or do I trust guys that I've built relationships with, and then on top of that, the money? So what I said was this: you can't get mad at the kid. Coaches do it all the time. Coaches do it all the time. We can't be mad at the young man that said, you know what? I'm going to take my talent. I'm going to take my chance on this side. I can't be mad at Isaiah Bond. You can't be mad at, and you can, but you shouldn't be. You shouldn't be mad at Niblack. You shouldn't be mad at any of these kids who decided to leave the program. There's going to be more. We can look at it and say, man, but you can have a chance to be this in this offense is explosive. We got the coordinator. Man, you could be amazing. It's Alabama. I get all of that. But some of these kids are going to say, poo-poo that. I'm going where I'm comfortable. Is it the right thing? I don't know. Time will tell. But what we should not do is blast kids and get in their mentions and get on their timelines and say all these horrible things and curse them out. And why? These are 18 to 22-year-old kids. I get it. You get upset. They ain't tough enough. They didn't care. No, they did care. They didn't know that Nick Saban was going to retire. Listen, guys, these coaches come into your living room. They eat dinner. You make them dinner on their home visits and tell you all the stuff, and then can leave the next day. And relationships are built. That's why I thought that keeping T-Rob was vital, because I know the relationships that he has with these young players, especially in the secondary. He recruited a lot of those guys. He's that cool dad. He's that homeboy. He's that big dude that's talking to them in ways that they understand and they can relate. He's that guy that's going to help them get to the league. He's the guy that has a relationship with mom and him. That's why it was great when I saw D-line coach stay. That was a must. Robert Gillespie, that was a must. So we can't badger these kids, people. Let them go. But now what's going to happen is Kalen DoBoer's got to come in with his group, hire the best staff that he can. You better get a defensive coordinator, because that's a problem. Don't trust they had no defense. They got, and we in the SEC. you better have fire on the side of that ball, right? I believe in his offense. I believe in the coordinator. They can score points. They take what they got, they build around it. That's very smart. You hear me all the time to say smart coaches see the talent that they have and they devise schemes that help elevate that said talent. That's smart. Dumb coaches will tell them said players that say, you're going to learn with my system and you have to do what my system say do, even though you're not comfortable. That's been a dumb football coach. I don't think Kalen DoBoer is that. So he's got to recruit this locker room that's left. Nick Saban, Greg Byrne, Roach, Gillespie, guys that have been here. Is going to be your biggest asset right now. And spending time, Jamie Mosley, even guys like that, that's important. Clinton Dix, guys like that have played here, played at Alabama, know everything. These guys has to be the guy that helps save this locker room, because those guys are going to listen. Not all of them. We've seen that. Not all of them. But those guys got to help save this locker room. Because let's just be real, when coaches leave, and I've been a part of it many times from college and the pros, you have a choice to make. Do I trust these new guys? Do I trust what they say? I don't care what Chris Lowe says. I don't care what ESPN says or Fox or whomever, this blogger that said, oh, how great of a guy. See, when you're a player and you don't hear that, you don't care about that. That goes over your head. Now, to the fan, yes. To the player, it means nothing. And some guys will have to look at the opportunity. Save what you can save in this locker room. And then what's left over, you add to it. Because there's going to be free agents at Washington, guys are free agents, portal guys that's already in the portal. A lot of good linemen, secondary guys. I'm sure he knows those guys. He need to go try to maybe get them to come to the East Coast that knows his system. That's going to be big, that he not only just bring some coaches, it's going to be big that he maybe get some of his players that love him that can come here and help aid the current locker room. That'd be very interesting to see. Listen, y'all saw the video. Some 200,000 people watched it. I wasn't for this hire. I get it. He's a good coach. I get it. He's a good man. I believe that from the bottom of my heart. I believe the culture and how he runs his show is going to be liked better by the players. I can honestly say that. Nick Saban was a hard man. My son will tell you, Nick Saban, it wasn't easy. These young men I've built relationship over the last 8 years will tell you that was hard. Playing for Nick Saban is hard. Coaching for Nick Saban is hard. But boy, what an amazing opportunity. They learned so much. My son will be on here, he'll tell you, it was hard. But now this guy's going to be more laid back approach, more easy. Yes, hard work. But they're probably going to enjoy his culture once they get to know him. To the ones that give him that opportunity. Some are not going to do that. Some are going to be swayed by the relationships that they already have at other schools that are winning at a high clip, and the other schools that got just as nice facilities, got fan base, got everything. No, they're not Alabama. That's never going to be Nick Saban. It's never going to be Alabama as we know in the last 17 years. We can kick that out, kick rocks, get out the way, forget that. This is a new regime. This is a new era. You can forget about it. Stop even thinking about Nick Saban. I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm just saying this is a new guy that's want to do things his way differently. It's not going to be the way it was. A lot of you tweet things like that's over. The old A-Day in the pink coat, all that's over. It's a new era, folks, that we all have to become accustomed with. And as an analyst, as a radio host, I've been watching, I'm looking, I'm going to spend time. I spend time in Tuscaloosa. I'll go to practice with my son. I'll see things. I'll get to meet this coach. I'll be able to tell you a lot more. But I'm not afraid to say, hey, I'm not a fan. Shane Beamer will tell you this. When we hired Shane Beamer at South Carolina and they had a board of former players, I wasn't a fan of Shane Beamer. I wasn't a fan of the hiring of Shane Beamer, not as a person, because he's been there before. Nice freaking dude. I said earlier that I don't know, man. I don't like it. I was wanting Chris Rumph. I was wanting other people. But today, 3 years in, I'm great friends with Shane. I go into the program. I'm around, but I'm honest. But it's like this guy, Kalen DoBoer, he's got to prove to me that he can put together this staff. He's going to be able to recruit things that I said. And I'll be the one, if he does it right, I'll be the first one. As I'm driving Jalen Milroe's train, I'll stay on it. I don't mind being out front by myself. I was with Jalen Milroe the whole year. Go back and watch everything that I said. Okay? All I'm just saying to you, I'm a fan of Alabama. I'm a Gamecock alumnus. But through my son and covering this team now to going to all these freaking games, traveling across the world, following this team, the many 6 hours, 6.5 hours one way to see my son, to come to games, to leave TV on Friday night, to drive at 4 in the morning, to get here for even 11 o'clock games. You guys, I'm telling you right now, been through it. The Highway 20 ride, as Zach Brown would say. I did it many times. And I've made many relationships with players, with family members, with coaches that are head coaches all across this country that I have great relationship with, from the Kirby Smarts to the Chris Rumps to the Lane Kiffins to the Mike Loxley to Sark to boom, boom. I spent time with those guys. I can pick up the phone and call all of them. That's what I'm telling you. I have relationships. And I'm an Alabama guy. Many people in South Carolina said I love Alabama more than South Carolina. Well, to be honest, I've spent more time with Alabama the last 6, 7 years. I just want to be honest with you. I think family can be very close, but family sometimes, we butt heads. Family sometimes argue. Doesn't mean that we disrespect. Doesn't mean that we hate. That don't mean that we hating on somebody. Doesn't mean, hey, family just tell the truth and how they feel. Don't mean they're right all the time. I'm not right all the time. But I promise one thing you're going to get is my best. And things I say will be educated and done, homework done. And I can't tell you everything that when I talk to coaches, I knew things were going to happen. Me and my son knew things were going to happen at Alabama, but we can't go say that. We're at practice. We're around the coaches. What we look like to go sit here and try to break news. We got people, Chris Lowe, break news and things. We can break news. Promise you. That's not us. We're athletes. We're former players. We don't do that. So we sit back. Let them be the first. Who cares? Everybody want to fight to be the first, or we know stuff that we can't say. But I will say things on here that hopefully you understand. If I say something very strongly, it's probably pretty good, and I got it from a great person, right? So that's all. So I want to just hear from you. I don't want y'all to get so caught up, man, out of what's happening with the portal. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy. More to come. I think right now you got to, coach got to get a coordinator here fast as possible. I'm looking for it tonight. Hopefully that happens so these defensive players can start making decisions. Like Caleb Downs is huge. I can tell you Caleb Downs has been offering some crazy money to leave. Crazy money. He's a good guy with a good level-headed type kid, good family. But I'm just telling you, money sometimes speaks. So Kalen DoBoer and Mr. Morgan, the general manager, I don't know him, but whatever they got to do, they better do it fast. They better do it fast and try to keep that defense intact, because to me, if you're going to have any chance to win right now, it's going to be through your defense. And I know people say, well, the offense, yeah. Let me just remind you, since we family and we real, that Washington defense gave up over 300 yards rushing to Michigan. And most of that is in the first half. Dominated at the line of scrimmage. From what I know, for all the years of Super Bowls to college championships, we always talk about the flashy offense, right? The quarterbacks with all the yards and this, that, and the third. But you know what wins championships? It's the Alabamas of the world that got really good defense. Look at the Georgia Bulldogs. The last 2 years they won it. Defense. Look at Michigan running the football, ground and pound trap, counter plays and great defense won the championship. It's not the sexy offenses. That's great. That'll get you 10, 11, 12 wins, might get you undefeated. But, boy, when you find that team, the Michigan of the world, the Alabamas of the world, the Georgias of the world, teams like that had Clemson back in the day with that defensive line, those are the teams that hoist the trophy. So I like the guys that he's bringing in here. You got to bring in your offensive guy on. That's good. Joe Moore Award, that's good. But let me tell you something. Alabama, what I know is about winning national championships and SEC championships. And if you can't win in the trenches, as we've seen with Alabama just this past year, they got it handed to them by a team that dominated them in the trenches in Michigan as well. Now, they did take them overtime because they can compete in that area when they made up their mind to play some better football. But if you don't have the trenches, you're not going to win the big prize. So you can bring all this offense and spin it all around and spread you out and play basketball on grass and all that stuff. That good and it looks good and it looks good in the box score. But the reality is, if you can't stop people, you're not going to be a champion. So I'm looking for Kalen DoBoer to get that coordinated soon. And now you better go save that locker room. They're talking, and I'm just giving you a heads up, they all talking. Those guys that are signed at Florida State, several of them, Royce and all. I mean, think about it, man. They are calling, they are tweeting, they are texting. Hey, man, dude, bro, let me tell you something. Man, you got to get on down here to Florida State, man. Take a visit to Tallahassee, bro. They got everything going on. They are determined to win a national championship. They feel like they got, man, slotted, man. Come on, man. They got this and that. I'm getting money. I got this. They take. Oh, man, you got to come to Texas, man. Awesome, man. Honky tonk, Eric, man. I'm telling you, this place is alive, dog. I'm telling you right now, they take care of their players. It's awesome. Hook 'em horns. You got to come here, bro. You got to come. Oh, man, let me tell you what Dan Lanning is doing out here. Man, we got Nike, Phil Knight, bro. We can go in there and get all kind of Jones. We order them. We can put our names on them. I can send stuff to my homeboy. Bro, you got to come out here. Man, they paying, dog. Bro, Ole Miss right down the lane, man. Lane got it going. Let me tell you what he did for all these Porter guys. Let me tell you what he did. Man, he shoot, man. Bro, you got to come down here, man. There ain't nothing like it was at Bama, homie. That's what's happening. Man, don't listen to this new dude, man. We don't know what he's bringing to the table, dog. We don't know. Yeah, he good, nice, good. I mean, he cool. But, man, what they doing? What we get? And I saw the people sign up for Yale, Alabama, because college football is about the money right now. I work with South Carolina. I understand these things. But let me tell you something. Don't mean I like it. I don't, because it's pay for play. But this the reality of it, folks, that if you don't have no money, if you don't have boosters, and if you not got the common man that's giving $20 a month, $50, $100, and you can sustain that to where when you can start to pay these dues, man, you are left behind. That's real. It stinks for college football. It stinks. But that's where we are. I'm going to just put some of these up real quick. Thanks for your time today. Handy, thank you so much. God bless you. Appreciate it. Salt, pepper, and fire. I like that. Love the show, brother. I appreciate you as well. We definitely appreciate everybody that's listening, that supports our show. Yep. Christian will be here, and he's taking a shower, just put his business out in the street. Bruce says, so far, I'm okay with what I've seen. So I'm a little worried about the players leaving without trying. Yeah, you got to worry. That's real talk. That is real talk. And just to tell you from what I know, that's why I said the talk is talk. I mean, locker room talk is locker room talk. Guys on the other side, the defensive side of the ball, they don't know what's up. I was big on T-Rod, man. I was big. I know T-Rod real well, knew him really well. We hung out a lot back in the day at South Carolina. I know he did the same thing when he was with Will Muschamp at Florida. I know what T-Rod means to these young men. And I promise you, impactful more than you know. So they got to save it. T-Ben, let's see here. Pop, do you think the right DC hire can stabilize? Yes, I do. I think that is a huge, huge deal. I think that'll have an opportunity. Again, Caleb Downs is the guy I'm eyeing. I'm eyeing Caleb Downs. Because I know the money that's coming at him. I know every opportunity that these folks are shooting at him. So that's the guy. That's the dude. I mean, just like Miro on offense, you got it. I don't think you worry about him too much. And you hope these types of dudes, two of your best guys in the locker room that can rally those troops. They have to be an extension of Kalen DoBoer right now that say, hey, guys, man, this guy, let's give him a chance, man. You got Gillespie, you got Roach. Hopefully, pray to God, you get Jamie Mosley. You get guys that's been around. Keep Clinton Dix. Keep saying, keep this thing as familiar as you can to these locker room kids because they don't know. And I'm telling you, these young kids today, they ain't gonna rush off. They're not relational like that. It's about like, okay, what's my opportunity? So my thing would be I got to keep as many guys because I'm going to have more guys that I didn't recruit that I have nothing to do with. 85% of those guys I'm going to be coaching. So I got to be able to make sure they're plugged in and they become extensions of who I am, right? And then as I get to know them as we get into fall training, right? Because think about it, it's fall training. What we know about coaches in fall training? They don't spend time with the players. They're recruiting. They're doing fall training is they're around the weight staff. Who is that going to stay the same? Are you going to keep those same dudes? So, I mean, there's so many other areas, man, that, what's going to happen with the nutritionists? You got to keep as many people in their support role that's going to be moved. They're not getting the love. They're not getting the street cred, but you got to keep them intact because those are the people that knows these kids that you're going to now start to coach. So you can start to turn around over time. But this next year now, where we at now, the recruiting is done, you have to keep – I'm shocked. Right now, we only know, two guys as Christian Miller joins us. We only know two guys that are Robert Gillespie and Roach. That's it. I mean, so they are looking at that. He's got to go make sure people know Jamie Mosley's staying. He got to make sure that the strength and conditioning staff is intact. He got to know Jeff, the trainer, his staff, who loves these kids, who's like Miss Terry in the training room, right? This guy loves his people. You got to make sure you keep all of that intact, Christian. That's what I'm saying, man. That's why it's very important. Andrew, good evening to you and Roll Tide. Mimi, always a pleasure for you. Roll Tide, appreciate all of our time, man. I love talking ball. I love talking Bama. I'm just hitting some of these real quick, Christian. Doug, who's our DC? I wish I was about 15 years younger. I would love to do it because I love kids. I love young people. I love motivating. I love to be able to share life and truth with these young men. That's why I'm passionate about it because I understand it. I understand what they're going through. My coach died in college. Joe Morrison played a lot of years in the NFL, New York Giants running back. I don't know if you guys remember back then, Fire Ant defense, Black Magic when South Carolina was good in the early 80s. He died in 1988, heart attack playing racquetball. Then we get a new coach in Sparky Woods from a small school. I'm like, man, I was a top player in the state. I was one of the top players in the country coming out. And I'm like, I'm going to play for this dude? So my coaches with Purdue and other places were trying to get me to go. And I know what the locker room, what the talk. I mean, so all this don't change. It don't change. Corey, don't you think that Freddie Roach staying is – yes. Yes, that's why I say him and Gillespie were both huge, in my opinion, for the locker room now and also Christian for recruiting down the road. I think that was a huge deal. Jump on in, Christian. We've had 200 something folks that's up live now.
Yeah, no, I can see. I've been engineering it behind the scenes.
Okay, so I think it's one of really good, a lot of good people on here. So Willie says, shout out to me and you, the Miller's Edge. 2 hours start tomorrow. Looking forward to that, 12 to 2 Central Time. So new show. I'm looking to kick the week off with the new coach. So that'll be great. But go ahead. You can add on some things I said.
Well, I was going to go back and rewind. So I attended the press conference. First and foremost, how's everybody doing tonight? Sorry, I'm a little late. I was getting cleaned up. I've been painting and doing a lot of stuff around this house. So anyway, I went to the press conference yesterday. I really enjoyed it. I got to see Coach Saban real quick, chat with him. As he walked in, he was escorting Coach DeBoer. It was him as Terry, Coach DeBoer, Greg Byrne, and company coming through. And so I got to hear Coach DeBoer in person, and I thought he did really well. But I just want, and I'm going to preface by saying this, and this is not being pessimistic or negative, but I just want to remind people that, nailing a press conference is not conducive of, going and winning the national championship, right? And what I mean by that is, great job at the press conference. I loved everything I heard. I thought he did great. But the real work starts now, right? And that's assembling the right staff, getting these guys to stay, then going and getting these guys to buy in your process, and then going and putting that product out on the field and winning football games. So that's what we're all excited for. And again, I'm not saying that to be critical. I just want to, urge people as excited as they are because of the press conference. I was just seeing and hearing things and people like, oh man, we're back. This is it. And I'm like, yeah, that's great optimism and excitement and enthusiasm, and you should be. But just remember, now this is going to take time, right? As well spoken as in all the great things that Coach DeBoer said. I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, and we're seeing that being done now. That being said, I think he's because I saw somebody ask me about my thoughts. Look, I think he's a really good human being. Very well spoken. Very humble. I like how he comes in and he paid his respect to Coach Saban, paid his respect to this university and all the tradition and the history, which I don't see how you couldn't do that. But he made sure that he did that. He's very respectful. He mentioned that he wants to hear all the stories, all the traditions, everything. That this program, has to offer, and everything that makes this program so special. He wants to learn those things. He wants to hear it from current players. He urged former players to come back, share those stories. Talk about what made this place so great and so special. So, that was one thing that I was interested in learning about him. Is he going to be receptive? Is he going to be, able to be humble enough to say, hey, this is a historic program. I don't want to come in here and change too much. I want to see what made this place so special and so great outside of Coach Saban, even though we know that's honestly one of the biggest parts. But he's understanding and willing to learn all those things. So I thought that was awesome. And then moving forward, I like his plan, right? He's all about building a culture. We know that he's a great football coach, but he understands that it's going to be a process. They're going to have to get guys to buy in. It's going to be it's going to be a long journey, but he's eager to work, and I love that he's not shying away from the challenges ahead. He knows this job comes with a lot of challenges, right? This is not going to be easy, but he's all for it, and he's ready to take those on head on. So I thought that was great. So that was kind of what I thought of the press conference. It was really fun, exciting. It just feels weird. It's a new era. Never thought that. Well, I guess it's not. I never thought. I knew this day would come, but it just kind of feels surreal. Seeing Coach Saban. I go shake his hand, and he goes sits in the front row, and there's another guy holding a jersey, shaking Greg Burns' hand. I mean, it felt so weird, but I'm excited. I think. I think this could work well. I think out of the options that we had, this made the most sense. And I said this on our radio show last week. The Miller's Edge, again, we're going from 12 to 2 on Tide 100.9 now. I said that I felt that out of the options, because I know we talked about Lane and Sark, I thought it would have been great to have somebody who had history here, that had history with Coach Saban, but that wasn't an option. I think Sark, I don't think Lane was ever really an option. I think Sark somewhat was an option, but it was a long shot. With those two ruled out, I mean, it really came down. I mean, Dabo was never really an option. It really only came down to Mike Norvell, Coach DeBoer, and then maybe, giving Tommy Reese a
Dan
little.
Lanning. Dan
Oh,
Lanning.
excuse me, Dan Lanning. I think realistically, Dan Lanning and Coach DeBoer were the two main targets, from the get-go. And so with Dan Lanning staying put, which makes a lot of sense, I understand it from his perspective. I thought that this was the right hire. I thought if you hire Coach DeBoer and you do it right, you get some of his offensive coaches, you marry them, you couple them with some SEC guys. We talked about this, trying to retain T-Rob, Freddie Roach, Gillespie, those guys that can recruit. They have ties to the SEC. They have ties to the Southeast. I think that it can work out. And that looks like that's what the game plan is. Fully expect Freddie Roach and Gillespie to be retained. It's unfortunate T-Rob took the job at Georgia, but I can't blame him. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, that's not like that just came up. I mean, right? Georgia had T-Rob on their radar for some time now. And I think this all just was moving so fast. And unfortunately, Georgia made a really nice move. We're seeing that, with our players right now. A lot of guys are entering the portal. I saw that you talked about that. Look, I mean, here's the thing, like you mentioned, I mean, it's inevitable with this situation. They have that right. I'm not going to bash anybody. Do I think, they have a great opportunity to give Coach DeBoer and his staff a chance? Absolutely. If it was me personally, I would give him a chance. I mean, he seems like a great guy. I mean, I love Alabama for the school, right? For the culture, for the history. You've got a chance to add on to this history in its new era. That can be very special, right? That's a whole new legacy that you can attribute to. But look, if we're being honest here, money is one of the main contributors that you're seeing at play with most of these guys, right? If I'm being honest with you, Isaiah Bond, he'd already been receiving offers to enter the portal before Coach Saban even retired, right? That I'm just telling you how it is, right? Wouldn't be surprised if Nye Black was hearing the same thing. Those playmakers, especially on the offense side of the ball, I'm telling you, people were already in their ear trying to pay these guys money to leave. So am I shocked that we're seeing these names in the portal? No. And if we're being honest with you, man, I mean, and I'm not getting on the kid, but I mean, Nye Black was the player that was, after the Texas game on Instagram Live, right? So I mean,
I
if we're being,
blasted him, by the way.
huh?
I blasted him too. For the people that think I'm just, pro players all the time, I blast him when I need to blast him. I blasted
No,
him
no,
for
you're fair. You're fair, and I'm not trying to knock the guy. Would anybody on the teams that I played on here at Alabama have done that? Hell no, you wouldn't have done that. You would have got beat up in the locker room next day. But it's just different now. So if we're being honest here, I mean, I think that displays probably immaturity or lack of maturity of some of these guys. You kind of see more so what their priorities are, their intentions. Again, I'm not making fun of them. I'm not trying to pick on them. I'm just being honest. So, like I said, man, you just have to let those guys live with that decision. I mean, if they feel like it's a better situation for them at said school, let them pursue that. I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, you got to play with the guys that you have. And I know as a player, and even if I was a coach, I want the guys in the locker room that want to be there. I don't. I honestly would rather. I don't care how talented you are. If you're not completely bought into my program, those guys end up becoming cancers, and that ends up being contagious to the rest of the team. I've seen it happen before. I've personally experienced it. I'd rather play without those guys. I'd rather give some of these young guys an opportunity that are hungry, that are wanting to fight for that job, and that are eager to get playing time, and they're going to take advantage of that. So that's kind of my overall perspective. I know I just said a whole bunch there, but I wanted to get caught back up. I know my dad did a great job giving his thoughts and perspectives, and I'll get back to reading the chat because I know there's a lot of people, and we got 290 something, 300 people in here. Thank y'all so much. If you haven't already, yeah, 300 people now. If you haven't already, make sure you drop a like on this video. All the likes help us out. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe because that definitely helps us out. It keeps you up to date on the content. Drop a comment on your thoughts on all this transfer portal madness, the coaching updates. But now we're gonna get back to the
Well,
conversation
I mean,
here.
there was a super chat from Adam too. I couldn't pull
Yeah,
it up,
yeah. Let's
but
get to
let me
that.
just say this too.
I
What
got
you
it.
were
I got
saying.
it here. I got it.
Okay.
You want to go, or you want me to do the super chat?
Yeah, I just want to say, what our goal is to really be honest as best as we can, and bring you inside the locker room, and nobody brings you closer than Christian does, who've been in that locker room, played for 4 straight championship games, 4 SEC championship rings. I mean, to my just experience as a NFL, a decade there, as a coach, as a Hall of Fame college football player, but we want to pull you into what we know and the relationships that we built. So I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. We're just very passionate what we do. We both, Christian is Alabama, and as parent and as dad, I'm Alabama too. Although I'm an alumnus, that's what I just want you to get it. But I study Alabama. Christian will tell you. And when it comes to ball, nobody watches and more ball and things like that than I do, because I love it. Yeah, good. You can post Adam's deal up there too if you don't mind.
Adam with
Appreciate the
the
super chat.
$15 super chat, man. Thank you so much, Adam. Glad to have you back. It's been a while. I think you said last time you were on vacation, but glad to have you
Yeah.
back, man. It's been some time. Our guy Adam, he says, Christian and Corey, why didn't Burn pursue Kiffin? Thanks for a great show. Thank you for hanging out and supporting us. But uh, I guess I would just say, man, I don't necessarily know. I haven't spoken to either one of them, but I don't think it really was an option just because it seemed like Greg Byrne had his sights on one of these younger guys, like the DeBoers, the Norvell, the Lanning, right? It seemed like that was kind of his game plan. I think knowing Greg Byrne and how, you know, he's very eager to have people in this program that pride themselves in integrity, right? Doing things the right way, upholding that standard, not just for Alabama football, for Alabama as a university, right? And then you talk about, I mean, the situation, whether it was, you know, the gambling situation with baseball, you know, the basketball situation. And God, look, I'm not saying Lane would, you know, bring any of that because I'll be honest. I think Lane is past a lot of, you know, those things that he had in his closet, right? I think he's grown and matured. However, I just don't know if that was truly what Greg Byrne wanted to do. I think it would be hard to make that hire. Now, do I think it would have been a good fit? You know, he had history with Coach Saban. He's been here. He's been very successful when he was here at Alabama. He's a hell of a coach. He's a hell of an offensive mind. You're talking about a guy that attacks the transfer portal. He understands this new age. He understands how to relate to kids. He's from, you know, the Southeast area, at least in terms of coaching, right? I thought it would have been a good fit, but I think some of those skeletons in his closet might have just been too much for us as a university to make him the coach. Now, I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. Just knowing how Greg Byrne is and how adamant he is on having leaders with those values. But that's just a guess. My dad might have a different opinion, but I also don't
I
know if
do.
it would have been. Yeah, I was
I,
about to say, I
I,
also think it
I
would have been hard to get him too, though, in terms of the buyout. He just
I
signed a
mean, maybe.
contract.
Maybe, but let's just be real about it. And I hate to bring this back up again, but since you asked, there's no doubt that Lane Kiffin was the perfect choice. There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind that Lane Kiffin was the easiest and the perfect choice. The transition, much easier. The relationships that he's already established and built, right there, right? Players in that locker room probably wouldn't have left because he would have made sure. He would have made sure. Um, Now, I get what Lane went through. I was here at that time. Christian was here. I spent nights hanging out, being around Lane Kiffin with a lot of stuff was going on. I get all of this. I was there at Coach Saban's house on the official visit when Lane showed up with the jeans, you know, the acid wash jeans and the big pockets. And, you know, Coach sent him home. Like, what are you doing? You need to put a coat on, sport coat and slacks. I was there. I know Lane. I joked Lane. I got on Lane for telling Alshon Jeffrey he'll be pumping gas. Former South Carolina wide receiver, second round pick, played a lot of years for the Eagles and others. We joked about that. So I know Lane very well. But what I do know is that Lane changed his life. He's going through divorce. He did some things. He made bad decisions. Who hasn't? Who hasn't? A lot of these coaches, from Mike Loxley to Pete Golden to many other coaches, have failed and fallen short, like we all fallen short of the glory of God. But the man changed, and the man gets kudos and everything to Coach Saban. He loves him. He appreciates him because these guys have come into the factory, the healing factory, if you will, the redemption factory of Coach Saban, and changed their life and got a new start, a new lease on life and in coaching. Lane Kiffin would have been easy. Lane Kiffin, to me, would have been that guy that could take in this job and would have loved it and would have wanted Coach Saban to be around, to be that confidant, to be that guy that could still tell him, you know, what the world are you doing? And he can cuss him out if he has to. Offensive minded, done it at many, many programs. Say what you want. He was an NFL coach. He was at Tennessee. He's been at Ole Miss. I mean, the guy's been around. He's funny. He's quirky. I know you may not like how he's public with the Twitter, but he gets it. He knows how to relate to these young men. So that was my choice. That was my guy. I think they dropped the ball. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that Kalen DoBoer proves me so wrong that I got so much crow that I'm choking. I do, because I want that for Alabama, and I want that for you, the fan. But right now, I got to see it as we speak. As we've been doing this show. Excuse me. Breaking news: 5-star wide receiver Jamie French tells me he has committed from Alabama. The number 3 wide receiver in the 25 class has been committed to Crimson Tide since July. He is the second 5-star wide receiver to decommit from Alabama since Saban's retirement. So if you haven't seen, Bama loses another 5-star, saying that he has decommitted from Alabama. So that's what I'm saying. These things are going to happen. That's why I said earlier, I get it. I know folks say, why would you do this? Why are these kids doing this? They don't care. The reality is they're 18 years old and they don't know. They don't know Kalen DeBoer. They don't know a lot of these offensive guys. They're not from. That's why I said area culture. At least if it had been somebody that has been recruiting them, right, that has spent time with them, that's been in their house, has been at their games, I can just tell you it would have made that a lot different. You hired a guy that didn't even know Coach Saban. You had a guy that just met Coach Saban. Think about
Right,
this.
but again, their options were slim, right? It almost
But I
got to
mean,
be
I
slim
understand all
pickings.
that. But I'm just saying. But when you look at the totality of it, that's what these kids are looking at.
Yeah,
So
but here's my thing though. I mean, and that's exactly right. You're right. I mean, there's a big difference from hiring a guy who has been working the Southeast. Just like I'll give you an example. When I was at Spring Valley High School, obviously I'm going to have, now I was a national recruit, so I had offers from UCLA, Boise State, places all on the West Coast too. But realistically, I was very close with the coach from Georgia, right? I mean, I knew Mark Richt and Kirk Olivadotti. Those guys were at my school all the time. I almost went to Georgia, right? Muschamp, T. Rob, and all those guys, they're at Florida. I was committed to Florida. I knew all those. So it would be, I understand that, right? That would be like a coach taking over from one of those programs. Those guys recruited me. I knew them well. I wouldn't be so thrown off. I'm like, oh yeah, that's Coach Muschamp. Oh, that's I they recruited me. I know these guys. Not many of these guys probably were recruited by Coach DeBoer, so they aren't going to know. So I totally agree with you. My thing is just, you know, I would, if I was these guys, you got a 30-day window. Give it a chance, get to know his staff. I mean, you just found out that he'll be retaining, Coach Roach more than likely. I don't know if it's official, but I fully expect that. Fully expect him retain Gillespie. T. Rob was such a huge blow because I mean, you said it best. I mean, T. Rob was that dude that, I mean, T. Rob is hilarious. I mean, dudes can just go kick it in his office and hang out. I mean, he made things enjoyable, right? Because I heard you say it earlier, playing for Coach Saban is not easy, but having a guy like T. Rob around, man, it makes it just that much easier, man. You know what I mean? Like he's a father figure to a lot of guys. He's a brother, right? I mean, he's just easy to relate to. But with that being said, I don't think it's the end of the world. Because I'll be honest with you, I think half the guys that we've seen leave probably would have left regardless. Because I think a lot of them were chasing some NIL opportunities. Maybe some were actually chasing more opportunities on the field. Like I'll be honest, if Isaiah Bond, which it sounded like he kind of was alluding to this, he might think that he can have more opportunities on the field in terms of more catches or more, more opportunities in the passing game for him as a player. I mean, look, I'll give you an example. When I played with Jalen Hurts, and I'm not saying, both Jalen's are exactly the same, but when you do have a dual threat quarterback who's still kind of working and improving on his ability to scan the field and make those reads, we got to call a spade a spade. That is something that Jalen Milroe's still working
he's
on.
nowhere near. He's not Michael Penix Jr.
No, he's not. And so what I'm saying is if someone says, hey, man, if I'm a wide receiver and I say I feel like I have a better chance of making a bigger impact at a school like Texas with a quarterback like Quinn Ewers and that offense of Sarkeesian, look, I understand it. Now, do I also know from what I know about Isaiah Bond, and again, a good kid, but I'm just gonna be honest with you. He's not, he's more so on the new age side. He's not gonna be one of those guys. I hate
What do
comparing
you
him to
think
me,
he's
but
about, Isaiah Bond?
that's why he's very focused on himself and his brand, which that's his right, versus a guy like me when I came in, I could care less about all the stars and glam and fame. I don't care about that. I just wanted to play at Alabama for Coach Saban and be a part of the tradition. Respectfully, he's not that type of guy. Amari Niblack, respectfully, not that type of guy. So I'll be honest, I don't think it really mattered who would have came in at this point. I think those type of guys are probably using this opportunity to maximize some NIL stuff, and maybe if they feel like they can maybe get the ball a little bit more. Like I said, it is what it is. But with that being said, I believe I know a lot of y'all thought Lane Kiffin would be a better choice. I do think Lane Kiffin would be great. I think Coach DeBoer has an opportunity to do some good things here, given that he seems like the right fit in terms of his humility, being humble and willing. I mean, that was one thing he said at the press conference. He urges Coach Saban to give him something every day to get better at. He wants to learn, right? He doesn't strike me as a guy coming in here saying, hey, I've been successful doing this, X, Y, and Z. This is what we're doing here. Now I'm the head coach at Alabama. He doesn't strike me like that at all. he to me, he's like, hey, I want to learn. Like, you guys teach me
Yeah,
your
but
ways.
let me just say this, Christian. I want him to be like that. And here's why.
No,
Because listen,
man.
one of the things I was concerned about was the fact that Coach Saban was going to be around. And a lot of coaches that feel like somebody's looking, you got this little thing on your shoulder all the time. Like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What are you thinking? And I know it's easy to say this because here's the thing. People, which I hate, it's not just for this case, but for any press conference, when people tell me, oh, the coach won the press conference. What do you mean he won the press conference? What do you expect him to say? Right? Like he's going to say all the right
That's
things.
why I started with. That's why I said winning press conferences isn't conducive to
No,
winning
that
on
don't
the
mean
field.
nothing to me. For me, I'm from Missouri. Because my thing would be winning would be saying, okay, listen, I know the guy I'm gonna bring. I know I got my guy Gruff, whatever his name is, office coordinator, is not gonna take the job at Washington. Okay, I'm gonna bring him with my offensive line, my Joe Moore winning offensive line coach. Boom, I know I'm a guy. Who on this staff that I got to keep? Let's get this done. I'm going right there because I said this during the press conference when me and you were talking. You said I got to go. They give me a start. One of the things I said, you should make this the fastest press conference there is. Thank him. Thank your family. Thank the president. Thank the AD. Thank Nick Saban. Give him his flowers. Boom, boom. Here's my plan. But here's what I do, folks. I want to sit here and be with you all day. I'm doing a little quick media bite. I got to hit the road recruiting. I got to find whoever I got right now. Give me the numbers. I'm making calls on the private plane. I'm going to see who I need to see, right? I'm on it. It's like you got to hit the ground running, bro. And my thing would be, my staff would have been, I'm right at T-Rob now. The people I know, I've seen some of the messages. I've seen T-Rob did give him the chance. T-Rob gave them the chance now. Alabama had a chance to keep T-Rob. Let's just be real about it. I know this stuff was going on, but from what I know about T-Rob, it wasn't good enough. Whatever that is, if that's money, if that's making me the number one, the only defense coordinator, whatever. But he talked to Kalen DoBoer. They met, they talked, they did what they needed to do. At the end of the day, Georgia was better for T-Rob than Alabama. But there was no way in God's green, beautiful earth. That's my number one guy because what I would have known, and hopefully Coach Saban and Greg would have told Kalen DoBoer is you must keep Travarian Robinson, T-Rob. There's no doubt about it. He's going to be the savior of this locker room, and he is going to be the guy, right? That when you get your guys in, y'all meet with him and these other guys, and he's going to help smooth this transition so we can roll. We can keep rolling. You let the number one guy out the door. That's why I said massive loss. That's massive, bro. And now you go right down to the enemy, to Kirby. You give him let him go to the enemy. That's not good. That's all I was saying. It just
But
it
like I
could be
said, I
okay.
mean, but that
It
but
could be okay.
I'll be honest. I know Georgia had already been pursuing him before a lot of this. So I'm just saying we got to take that into consideration. Now I do agree though, they should have been more swift in terms of, hey, we need to keep this guy. We need to do whatever it takes to retain him. Now I also know that they wanted to retain him. It's not like they just wanted him to walk, but I think
Yeah,
they
but they
probably
didn't do
should
what
have.
they needed to do.
Right, right. That's what I'm saying. And so, I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't know if it's too late. Maybe they
Nah,
can
it's
find a way
late.
to.
He already signed.
No, I mean, if he signs, too late. But I mean, it is what it is, man. At the end of the day, man, we just got to move on if that is the case. And I wish nothing but the best to him, except when he's playing Alabama. I love T-Rob, but it can't
He'll be
support
coming
him when
right
he's
back to
playing us.
Alabama. That's going to be
When
a
he comes,
blessing.
yeah, when he comes, first SEC game September, whatever it is, yeah, can't support him then, or when we play him in the SEC championship. But anyway, um. What's the comment say? It's going to take some time to adjust. New coach will have to earn his respect. Like Coach Saban, I'll have to make an opinion after watching the first four games. After these past three seasons, question marks. All right, so I will say you're 100% right. Anytime you get a new coach, they got to earn their stripes, and that's not going to be easy at a place like Alabama. I'm telling you that from firsthand experience. Okay, um, when you got a bunch of big time players, right? Especially these down south guys, man. Like like I'm from South Carolina. All our guys from Georgia, New Orleans, Louisiana, wherever, Florida, right? Like you got to earn the respect of the team. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm just gonna be transparent with you. Like, especially at a place like Alabama, these guys, right? They have that A on their chest. This coach and these coaches are just now getting that A on their chest. They're not from down south. They they haven't played in the SEC, so they're gonna have to earn the respect of their own team, and that's okay. That'd be anybody, but even more so with them. But that is going to be a challenge, and I think that these guys are ready for the challenge. But I think they will earn the respect of these guys quickly because again, from what I've seen and heard from Coach DeBoer, man, I mean, they seem like stand-up guys. And again, I think the right approach is to come in the way they are coming in. They want to talk to these guys. They want to learn. They're not coming in here with this, poking their chest out like, hey, we just played in the championship game. You guys are going to respect us. They're like, no, we want to earn your respect.
Well, I
Just give
mean,
us a chance.
as I said to them before, I mean, this same defense of Washington gave Michigan over 300 yards rush, and most of that came in the first half. So you can't come and poke your chest out. You got beat down pretty good, and that's
Listen, man, but see, look, I'm not trying to take shots here. I'm just saying
Hey,
that.
Styles, but
No, no,
that's
no, no,
that's called
no,
being
no.
real,
I'm saying some coaches do that, even if they didn't play in a championship game. I'll
right?
give you an example to the people that might not understand about the coaches, maybe didn't play football. Think about in school, right? You got some of those teachers first week of school in the new classes, right? During syllabus week, they always want to come in and puff out their chest. We're not going to do this in this class, and we're not going to. Some teachers come in like that, and the students are like, "Oh hell no, you ain't dealing with that." That's what I'm saying. You don't want to have that approach. Versus if a teacher's like, "Hey, I'm looking
No,
forward to a
that's
good
not the right
semester."
approach. That's not the right
No,
approach.
not the right approach at
Thing is,
all,
I'm not
especially in this
saying that. I'm
situation.
just saying they don't have a reason to do that. Let's get back to some of these. Being optimistic and agreeing with you, that may be why the DC is taking so long. Talking about the hire is taking so long, trying to get it right. Let's hope so. Chris Miller, great name, by the way. I totally
That's
agree
right.
with you. I mean, I think this is the biggest hire for them, just because their defense is a little suspect, middle of the Pac-12, probably 30, 40 or so. If I looked at stats, Christian May to pull it up what they were last year. They were kind of made some stops at the end of the games, things like that. I watch because I watch a lot of Pac-12 football at night. Listen, it's they got to get it right. They got to get it right. That's all I can say.
Craig Wooden.
Schumann, if they could steal a Schumann from Georgia, heard DJ Durkin could be on the staff, has been a DC at Texas A&M, was at Florida with Will Muschamp, was at Ole Miss, so he's been around the SEC too. So, I mean, that is just a ho-hum kind of hire. If he's a guy like that, Charlie Strong, someone that's mentioned in our
Sir.
chat. No, I don't think that's going to happen
No,
at
it's not
all.
happening.
So I don't know. I mean, there's some names out there, but to me, Schumann would be a guy I think who's in Georgia right now. Would be a guy that if Kirby slapped you, go slap Kirby back, make Schumann a big time offer. He's a Saban kind of disciple guy. So
you'd have to really lure him over here. He ain't just gonna leave.
No, I
Georgia.
mean, you lure him with the checkbook, and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
That's all.
that's what I said. You're going to really
You're
lure
gonna have to
him.
give him 1.5, 1.7 to get him out of Georgia.
Yeah, you're going to have to pay a lot of money.
So,
Real
but
quick,
at this point, though, you got to do it.
I just want to get to these super chats that we've missed. Craig Wooden with the $2 super chat. It didn't leave a comment, but Craig, thank you so much for the support,
Thank you,
man.
Craig.
We really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us on this. Damn, I'm forgetting it's Sunday, right? I ain't forgetting what
It's
day.
funny. By the way, if you're a Dallas Cowboy fan,
anyway, man,
boy,
the Cowboys.
Dallas done peed down their pants again. I wouldn't be surprised. Jerry Jones go in that locker room and fire Mike McCarthy, losing to his old team. Basically, was blown out. They came back, but they got blown out. Wow. But anyway, that's another story.
Titan guy with the $9.99 super chat. Good to have you in here, man. Long time no see.
Yeah,
He says,
Titan guy.
Titan guy says, why do y'all think Saban never really hired from within? And do you agree with the way he retired? I think he should have hired someone and coached them up to replace him. Here's the thing. That's a great question. Great point there. I think they would have liked to hire from within if they felt they had somebody on staff that they are comfortable with, they're confident in, and they felt capable of doing so. I just think, unfortunately, they didn't have anybody, right? Tommy Rees, right? I mean, this guy just has only been an offensive coordinator, less than a handful of years. They probably were going to interview him, but that wasn't somebody you probably feel confident doing. Taking over, giving him the keys to the University of Alabama. T-Rob, man, great guy, great coach, but I don't think he's ready to be a head coach yet. So I don't think they had anybody. Now, let's flash, excuse me, let's rewind, right? If Kirby never took the Georgia job, if Kirby was on staff, I fully believe they would have gave Kirby that head coaching job, but they just didn't have anybody, in my opinion, they felt comfortable or confident in. And then the second point, yeah, no, I don't think so.
I
Then the
mean,
second point,
listen, Nick. This is why Nick Saban retired. So before Nick, you talk about delegating authority, right? Think about the staff you had, all the future head coaches now, right? The Loxleys to the Dan Lannings to Lane Kiffin to Steve Sarkisian to Butch Jones there's a plethora of guys. Nick Saban don't have them dudes no more. And over the years, we talked about every year the turnover. He couldn't keep coaches and them growing with the program like the Kirby Smart guys. So there was nobody really except for T-Rob. T-Rob was the hottest coach on the staff, and he went to Georgia, right? I mean, but he wasn't head coach ready. So that's why I say this past season, we can't overlook what Nick Saban did and the staff, because he didn't have dudes like that no more. He brought Kevin Steele back, but we know T-Rob was calling the plays, and he was a defensive coordinator. I mean, he didn't have any of those dudes. So I think he just said, you know what? Screw it. I can't do it no more. I have to do too much. I think Nick Saban had to do so much, and I think this past season took everything he had left. He had the old staff, the Kirbys of the world. He'll still be around. And he's not losing coaches like that. Just look at the staff. No, who wanted anybody besides T-Rob on that staff? Who else?
You said who else did he want?
Right, that offensive coordinator, Tommy Rees.
Robert Gillespie is a hell of a coach and a hell of a recruiter.
He's at South Carolina too, Tennessee. I get that, but nobody was not going to knock doors down to get him. Nobody was knocking doors down to get any of those other coaches.
I don't think that's. I think you were on to the right track. Then you kind of lost me at the end. But
I'm just saying he didn't have that. But
with him,
the names and the coaching staff that he's had in the past, and I think as he said, it was a grind. His own words, not mine. He said it was a grind. This past season took more out of it.
I know exactly what it is. I'll give you exactly why you retired. Like I said, you were on to the right track, and then you kind of got off of a little bit. It's not about names. He doesn't care about names. He also came out and said a lot of those people that people brag about are big names were not big names before they came to Alabama, basically alluding to the fact that they became big names coaching under him and coaching in Alabama. It's not about, where they rank and how big of a coach they are. It's more so about how they contribute. The fact of the matter is he hired Kevin Steele. Look, people don't want to hear this, but I'm telling you for a fact, he didn't want Pete Golden to leave. I know as much flack that Pete Golden gets in the media, people just say, oh, Pete Golden had our guys doing this. Could Pete have done some things different? Sure. Did Pete, alter some things in our defense and introduce some new, had some more influences in our defense and mix some things around than our typical defense? Yeah, he did. I know for a fact. However, Pete Golden is a good football coach, a smart football coach. Yes. Y'all can disagree with me all you want in the comments. I know him personally. I played under him, and I know how that staff felt about him, specifically Coach Saban. I know for a fact how Coach Saban felt about Pete Golden. And I'm just telling you right now, he didn't want Pete Golden to leave. So with that being said, when they brought in Kevin Steele, they had expectations for Kevin Steele and his contributions. Well, unfortunately, that didn't happen. He didn't contribute the way that they initially thought he would. So yes, it is true that T-Rob had a lot more hands-on responsibility than expected, which in turn then made Coach Saban have a lot more hands-on than expected, because then he's trying to help people out, right? So you're 100% spot on that. Coach Saban, and he said this, that's why I'm not trying to spill any tea. I'm just telling you, and somebody says, yeah, we disagree wholeheartedly with that. You can all you want, but I've spoke to these coaches directly. I literally talk to them it's all good. You can believe whatever you want. I know the real answer there. But like I said, Coach Saban did have to work way harder than usual this past year. And at the age of 72, it was a grind. That's a fact. And so when you put all those factors in there, his age, how hard it was. I mean, again, Coach Saban gets in the building. They got the seven something staff meeting every morning. I mean, he pretty much is there until about 9 p.m. I mean, that's 14-hour days, right? That's hard on somebody of any age, let alone 72 years old. So all those factors, man. And I think Coach Saban knew that he was kind of getting that point, but he still was on the fence. He even said it. Like he went into that meeting, he had two speeches. He didn't know which one he was going to give, whether he was going to prepare, because it was the meeting where they basically introduced the new year. That's what it was. Every year we have a designated day where it's like the start of a new year, and we lay out the foundation of kind of what we have planned. So with that being said, he went into that meeting, and this is a fact. He went into that meeting right before then. He didn't know if he was going to which speech he was going to give, the retirement speech or this is the New Year speech. Ultimately, he ended up deciding the retirement speech, and he kind of started getting in that mindset after he was on vacation with his family, and then reflecting on how much of a grind it was, how he had been feeling. He thought it was just best that he probably went ahead and stepped away. Which again, I think it's the right call on him. If that's what his heart felt. He look, man. Coach Saban works
I
his
ain't mad
ass
at him.
off.
I mean, the dude
I'm
deserves.
not mad. It's just look. Here's the thing. He can't do anything half-assed. That's why he don't even really want like an advisory role. He knows how hard he works and what he wants to do in terms of his workload and how much effort he's going to give. He's not a person that can just kind of have one foot in, one foot out. So I fully respect him, because a lot of guys would be selfish and say, "Hey, I still want to hang around. I'll just be an executive, or I'll do this."
Well, he is kind
But
of doing that.
no,
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
to listen, but we don't really know the extent. For all we know, he could be in Tuscaloosa once a month. He
He
could be
got
there
off.
once a week. He's got an office in the stadium, but that I mean, nobody said okay, he's going to be there Monday through Friday. I mean, I think it's more so out of respect, and also that gives him that opportunity, because I do believe he still needs to have quote unquote a family to be a part of, because he spoke about how big that is to him, and I think that'll be healthy for him to have. So,
I
um,
hope so. But listen, and I said this on one of our live. This is hard to do. And I talked about retiring from football and having to stop was the hardest thing I ever had to do. I had a teammate, Otis Anderson, tell me that, and I ain't believe it at the time, but it's the hardest thing you would ever have to do. And he's done it a lot longer than I have. And to know that getting up, driving up Mercedes, listen to his same music, eating his moon pies, all his routine, all that changes. It's going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be very, very hard for him. And say what you want to, he ain't ready to give it up totally. He ain't ready to step away. Yeah, he might spend some time and he gets some free hours, but he's going to find himself having a lot more free hours that I think he'll be around. I think he's going to be around. I mean, 'cause that's what he loves. I mean, he loves doing that. So I will say this: I would not be shocked if Coach Saban come out of retirement. I'm just telling you, I would not be shocked if Nick Saban come out of retirement, because I think this
but
man. I mean,
what would he do though? They just hired a new
I don't
coach.
know. I mean, he might just be an advocate or whatever you call it,
Like some
to the
type of like liaison, like
liaison or whatever,
executive to the
he
head
really
coach or something.
already is. So, um, so yeah, I will see, man. I just think this dude loves football, and I think Miss Terry's gonna miss it. I mean, there was a picture floating around. I ain't really say much about it, but Miss Terry was like sleeping while the man was talking. I don't know if she was
Man,
meditating or,
they're getting older, man.
but she was asleep.
They're old. They're old, man. Like, dude, you
Listen,
fall
they ain't
asleep.
that old. They're 70 years
You
old.
20 years. You're 20 years younger than them, and you fall asleep mid
I know, but
show,
I ain't gonna
mid.
fall asleep in prayer. I did back about
Man,
first couple
dude,
times in church a day because they were kind of.
exactly. You do the same thing. Look, somebody said Martin Hughes said the same thing you said, Christian. Yeah, I mean, if you listen, people that are connected to the program, like I don't just get on here. Listen, one thing about me, number one, I heard you say this earlier. We know stuff that we don't share out of respect to people's privacy, because that's not our place. We're not journalists. Where we just like hosting the show, right? You can believe the stuff I say or not. If I choose to share some stuff, which tonight I'm sharing a little bit more than usual. Like I said,
Oh,
you
Coach,
guys don't have to
are you
agree.
scared of Coach
You don't,
Saban?
huh?
Are you scared of Coach Saban? He gone
I'm
now.
not scared of Coach Saban, but I mean, with all these, shifts and movements, I can probably share a little bit more now. But I'm just saying, like, yeah, like, look, if you guys choose to believe me, cool. If not, I don't care. I know the truth. I don't. It's not really about sharing and if get people to believe me. I just tell you guys because I think you guys deserve to know these things. Because somebody still was like, oh, well, why didn't he fire Coach Steele if he wasn't pulling his weight? Guys, has Coach? Let me ask you a question. Who was the last person that Coach Saban actually fired? I'll wait. Probably can't name
Lane
many,
Kiffin.
right? Because he
Lane
doesn't. Right.
Lane
And okay, sure, but I'm saying, but realistically, Coach Saban doesn't fire people. If you guys haven't noticed, he's very respectful. Just like when guys end up transferring sometimes, right? He doesn't just boot guys that have been in trouble transfer. He just don't want to boot guys off the team. He's very respectful of people's reputations. He don't want to go out his way and do that. So that's the answer to that. But hit the T is wild, man.
Nah, I mean, listen,
He is
don't be
wild.
shocked if Coach Saban has said, hey, we don't know. If this thing gets any kind of rocky, Coach Saban gonna have to come back out the closet. He's gonna have to put the cape on. Because that's why I don't think he fully said I'm out. I mean, the man kept coming back to work for 2 days now, early in the morning. I mean, what coach be like, hey, I'm retired, and I got my family, my grandkids, blah, 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 vaze. Bro, coming back that morning, bro, we got set out there at the cup again. Hey, coach, good morning. I mean, listen, Coach Saban is Alabama football. It's unfortunate, and to a degree that it's going to be hard to move on. Not unfortunate, he's Alabama football. 17 years, and I've been following them 6 or 7 years. Y'all been there for a lot longer than me. Listen, man, I know y'all are saying the right thing, and I'm Christian is saying the right thing, and I can't wait to meet Kalen DoBoer. I'm going to get down there. I'm going to go there. Hopefully he's around. I'm going to
You
go
keep
meet
talking like that, your ass ain't gonna get to meet him.
Well, if I don't, listen. If I don't, so be it. I ain't gonna lose no sleep because I don't. My trust ain't in no man. My trust is in Jesus. I don't need all that. I try to do that out of just due diligence as being honorable to. But listen, I'm gonna tell the truth. My job is to be honest to the people. What I think that people that give super chats and follow, why not? Why am I gonna be? I'm not gonna be fanboy reporter. I ain't gonna ever be that.
Nobody said that. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
I'm just saying
you
that
can
I've said
always
it here.
phrase things. I'm just
I
saying,
work
be
here
wary
and
of
I
how you
look
phrase
at TV
things to people.
here. I told them straight one. I'm not fanboy reporter. I'm not a fan. I played this game. I played for this team. We look at it different. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan from pulling for them, but I'm not fanboyish to the point where I'm always say the sky's blue when it's pouring down rain.
I don't do that either, but I just, even when I know I have a negative point to make, I phrase it in a way where it's never disrespect. That's all I'm saying. So that's
I haven't said anything disrespectful at all.
I didn't say you did. I'm just
Right.
telling you that was do our best to keep it good. I just don't want anybody to lump us in a category of, bashing the new coach, because that's not.
No, we're not bashing, but you got to be honest. I mean, my thing is, you're a former player to the team. Your handprint is in the ground of it as a captain. You on the champ. Like, I understand where you're at, but my point is, listen, man, but still, the reality is this man had a great. I look at it and I'll be like, okay, I don't know Kalen DoBoer, but I look at his, man, 160 something, whatever his record is, 3 NAIA. Again, people got mad when I say NAIA was just above high school. Well, I coached over there, so right here at Columbia at Allen University, NAIA, before they moved up a little bit, right? Where we didn't even have a practice field. We used to have to go practice at, I mean, in the field that we had holes in it. It was unsafe, right? Barely, I mean, Coach Ted Keaton, who's from Alabama, by the way, is a huge Alabama fan, was the head coach that I met at R&R Cigars, okay, that I became his chaplain and helped out. I mean, I helped them out. So I understand what NAIA football is all about, playing at a high school field, to know how to know fans. It takes special people. It takes special coaches staying there, like Teddy Keaton. Same here, Teddy, the same kind of guy who's right now in Atlanta at Clark Central,
Right.
I believe. Head coach right now, my good friend. So I get all of that, but it ain't much higher than high school. So my thing is, he won 67 games there and 3 national championships. Kudos to him, because I know how hard it is. That's why he has a work ethic. That's why he played he gets it. He's appreciative, but he ain't been around no program that long, because as he moved forward, people kept grabbing him. Right, OC. Then it was Indiana, ended up getting Michael Penix Jr., who blew out his knee there, blew it out 4 times. Right, he gets Fresno State and all that stuff. And that 2 years, then boom, Washington gives him a chance, took his chance on this man. He did his thing, got him to a national championship, won Pac-12s, and he's gone. Right. So my thing is, when I look at all of this, I have to look at the whole picture. And I know the Pac-12 isn't the SEC. I know recruiting
100%.
is different. Now, you can say coach all that. I know the freaking shark-infested waters of these coaches, and now you pull in Oklahoma and Texas in the SEC. It's the dogfight, and with NIL and money on top of that to boot, bro. This is the land of sharks.
Right.
Everybody wants to win. Right. I'm just saying, if I don't know somebody, I mean, I didn't cover my hair. I look at all the ESPN guys, and they always sitting in the program meeting, nice guy. There's none of that. I think it's 100% true. You saying it, nice guy, don't cuss. I love all that. Believe me, I do. But when I look at the game and I look at, okay, who he's bringing, I look at what he's going up against. It ain't gonna be the same. I'm looking at who you replaced. It ain't gonna be the freaking same.
Nobody can replace Coach Saban.
So
Let's just put that out. There will never be another Coach Saban.
Ain't as easy as people get on here and saying, "Oh man, this that we got this offense and this and that." No, listen, I promise you, it won't be this. It's going to take a little while. It's going to take a little while, because can he do it? I'm not saying he can't do it, but man, this is one heck of a task, and one of the reasons a lot of guys said no to this job, because, brother, it's championship or bust, even for him. I mean, you say
it don't matter who it is. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, you can go 9-3, 10-2. Now, look at Nick Saban's going to 10-2s. They were telling him to quit. A lot of the same fan base were telling him to quit. He lost, I mean, at last play of the game. Think about how bad it was in Tuscaloosa. You think a new man that, bro, 9-3 might get you in the playoffs with the new 12.
I was about to say that's what he has in his favor, though, is the expanded playoffs. And
Yeah,
my thing is, he's going to look. He's going to have a grueling schedule his first year, though. His first year is a
Getting
pretty
in the
grueling
playoffs
schedule.
is not good enough for Alabama.
I didn't say it
This
was
is
good enough, but
Alabama.
what I'm saying is,
you know it better
he has.
than I do.
I didn't say that's enough. What I said, what he has in his favor is the expanded playoffs, meaning he might drop a couple games, but he still might have an opportunity to still get in the playoffs. You and I both know if you're in the playoffs, you have an opportunity to win a championship. That's all I'm saying. I didn't say, oh, if he makes the playoffs, everybody's happy. Hell no. We know how that goes, but we heard him at the press conference. He said his goal is SEC championships, national championships. And again, that sounds great, but winning a press conference, again, I'll say it again, is not conducive to winning national championships. You can say all the great things in the press conference we hear every single year when coaches are hired. That does not result in winning on the field. But again, I think he'll have a shot. He's got some good coaches he's bringing with him. He's retaining some good coaches and some good recruiters. He's got the Alabama brand. I know Coach Saban isn't the head coach, but with Coach Saban still being in some type of role in some capacity, you still have that at your disposal. Again, you still have that Alabama A. I don't care if people say Coach Saban or not. That Alabama A still is going to hold some weight now. Now we're going to have to kind of reestablish that A under a new regime, but at the same time, it's still going to hold some weight. Let me get some of these super chats that we missed. Then probably we've been on here a while, man. Like I said, we've got 330 people in here. Thank y'all so much. If you haven't already, please like the video. It helps us out. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. Drop a comment on your thoughts below of the new hire, the transfer portal, what's going on with Alabama. We appreciate all the feedback and support. All right, here we go. We've got Ron Hollywood with the $5 super chat. He says, what are your thoughts on Courtney Morgan? Oh gosh. Look, I know I'm saying that because I know he's probably going to have a lot. Look, all I'm saying is this. I'm going to pass it to him because I know he wants to look. I don't know too much about him. What I do know is people are saying they attribute him to building 2 national championship teams, I guess, in Michigan and Washington. He was at Michigan before he went to Washington. I think that's great. I don't know how that necessarily works because we've never had a general manager here. I mean, we've had Bob Welch, guys that are in charge of player personnel, things like that, director of recruiting. But I would say, I think if I'm being completely honest, and no disrespect to him, I think he's probably a very talented guy at what he does. However, I don't know how that necessarily works in college football in terms of building a roster. Because last time I checked, I thought recruiting was building a roster. And number one, I don't know how in charge he is of recruiting. And number two, I don't think Washington or Michigan. Well, I guess Michigan had a pretty solid recruiting class. So you give them credit there, but besides that, Washington, I don't think they have like a top recruiting class to really contribute to him or anything. With that being said, I hear he's good with evaluating talent. Here he's a very stand-up guy. He'll probably help out with player relations, help out with recruiting in some capacity. I think it's great. I just think people need to probably pump the brakes because I've been seeing people talk about, man, as if this guy is like the I don't even know who the best general manager in the NFL is, but as if he's like, you know what I mean, like the top general manager ever, which I hope that's the case. But I think again, people are getting a little excited just following narratives that they don't know much about. Because I'll be honest with you, before we hired Coach DeBoer, I had never heard of Courtney Morgan, and that's no disrespect. I'm just being transparent. I didn't really know much about the general manager roles and all these things. But those are my thoughts. I think he'll help out a lot. I'm excited for him. Glad to have him here at Alabama, and I'm looking forward to meeting him and looking forward to having him get to work. But I think people again need to just be realistic with these things because without us having a general manager, we've locked in top recruiting classes year in year out and had arguably the best talent in college football. And I know we have Coach Saban over Alabama, but still, though, people just got to remember that it's not like we're getting some huge upgrade. Like we've had top ranked recruiting classes year in and year out. So those are my thoughts on that.
All right, Courtney Morgan again. Ron, I had never heard of the dude, right? But I did my research, and Christian talked about it. He was with Kalen DoBoer at a smaller place and went to Michigan, and then DeBoer kind of got back in the game and brought him to Washington, right? Word on the street is he's that dude. He would be without NIL, he would be your old school bag man type of dude. He would be that dude that make the contacts. He talks the verbiage. He talks the language. He gets the relationships. He get the boys in, right? He is that guy. He is that liaison between Michigan, Washington, now Alabama, and then boosters and everybody else to get the money that they need to get dudes. Okay, I know this to be fact because you didn't hear me the other night. One of the kids that I know from Greenville, Mississippi, through a friend of mine, Steve Azar, was a singer-songwriter. You can Google him. I don't have to be me till Monday. You probably heard that song. One of my best friends.
We don't care about that, man. Come on, get on with it.
And then him and his brother. He has a brother that played at Houston and somewhere else too, receiver. Was on my celebrity golf fit when I was playing down in Greenville. I've been going there 12 years, I think now. Well, I tried to get him to go to South Carolina. Dylan Johnson played at Mississippi State in the SEC. Wanted to stay in the SEC. He was here on a visit with Shane Beamer and the company. I went and made sure I said hello and talked to him and all that good stuff. I wanted him to come here because we needed a running back. I told Shane Beamer and staff that, hey, I had a relationship there. That's just the reality of it. But, Washington had offered him several $100,000 to come from Greenville, Mississippi to Washington, Seattle, Washington. Well, you know what you got to do. So the game works like this. Hey, man, coach, what I'm calling out, coach, well, this is the number I got out here, but I've been told I'm getting paid, going to take care of my family. My family going to be able to get from Greenville. It's the worst place to try to get in and out of from an airport. They got it's a terrible airport. You got to go to Fayetteville or Memphis or somewhere like that and then drive 2.5 hours. That his family going to get taken care of. Going to be able to get to the West Coast and go to the game. This is what I got. Would I love to go to South Carolina? Yes. Do I love the facilities? Do I love the fan base? The SEC? Perfect fit, but I ain't got no money. If they ain't got this boom, 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 it ain't going to work. And if you're not able to match it,
Thank you, Pierre. See, hey, brother, you got to speed up your stories, man. You be
so it's like this. It's like this. Morgan is that dude. Morgan is that dude, right? He makes stuff happen. So that's where it is. I don't know much about him because I can't say nothing about him personally, but I know that's what general manager does. In this case, it's not NFL general manager because you don't do that in the NFL. This is about pay for play general manager. So
Yeah,
that's
and evaluating talent, and no, it
I don't even. It's
encompasses a
not
lot
even
of things.
evaluating the talent. It's zero about evaluating the talent.
Well,
This is
if you're
all.
if you're
This is all
offering
NIL.
guys, if you're offering guys to come from the portal, I'd imagine you're evaluating them to see if they're a good fit for your program. That's what I'm saying. So he listen. I mean, he does evaluate some talent. I read that. I think he's really good at what he does from what I read. I'm just saying, like, I don't want people to discredit what we do here because we've had people in our recruiting analyst roles, head of recruiting, head of player personnel that have done a damn good job themselves, and nobody got credit for that. So that's all I'm saying. I just want to defend some of our
That's
folks.
right, Michael. In short, Michael said 5 hour story. Morgan is that dude.
Right,
True.
right. All right. So we got another Michael Manson, the $10 super chat. Appreciate the support, brother. He says, what about Carl Scott? Seattle staff has been disbanded and he knows the Saban defense. Well, here's the thing. I don't even know if we'll really be running Coach Saban's defense moving forward. It all depends on who they hire. So you got to take that into consideration. But yeah, Carl Scott, yeah, he's in the NFL. I was with him here. Great coach, funny dude, kind of similar to a T-Rob, in my opinion. Very relatable, very good recruiter. But it just depends on if he wants to stay in the NFL or if he's willing to come back to college. I'll be honest, a lot of guys, once they get to the NFL level, they kind of like to stick to the NFL. Schedule's a lot easier on them. They have a lot more free time. They don't have to worry about recruiting, right? Some coaches really prefer that. So I don't. If I'm being honest with you, I don't know. Maybe there is some mutual interest there, but I don't necessarily see that happening. I mean, I heard Iowa's defensive coordinator. I don't know where the relation comes in there, but I don't know. I looked
He was
at his
good. He was a
resume.
really good coordinator.
He is really good, but he's also been in Iowa for going through like 2 decades now. So I don't know. But Carl Scott, that's a good name to throw in there, Michael. But I just don't know with him, and he's doing good in the NFL. I think I saw him at pro day not
He's
too long
not
ago.
leaving the NFL to go to
I,
college.
yeah, I wouldn't expect that. But if he does need a job, like Tia saying,
Tia says he
maybe.
needs a job. Is he out?
Well, Pete Carroll just
Oh
split
yeah.
with the Seahawks. So, with that being said, man, we're going on an hour and a half. And again, man, we've had so much engagement and people hanging out with us. I appreciate it. I'm going to get off. Maybe you want to hang out a couple more minutes or so, but I'll get to a couple more. If you guys have one or two last questions, I guess go ahead and ask them before we get off here. But again, I'm Christian Miller, former Alabama linebacker. It's my dad.
We
We run
know.
the Miller's Edge. Oh, don't try to shoot it back at me. Like I'm not telling 5 hour stories. You're over here telling bedtime stories,
Man,
man. You
I
gotta.
told him 2 minutes.
Oh,
The thing is with
no,
that,
it's
you need
just
to
the
understand
problem
that
is you're throwing
I
too
worked
many
this whole
details.
situation. So he was a part of that situation. That's what I was
No,
trying to. But if you didn't know that, then if I didn't tell you that, you missed the point. I could
no.
easily say he
I
was
think what
dragging me.
people no. If I could give some constructive criticism, I think it's like he's friends with my buddy Steve Azar, songwriter, artist,
But
musician
they had to get
from
the whole just
from
so how it's
Greenville, Mississippi. We play in the golf tournament every
They had
year.
to understand the gist of the
Man,
story, son.
that's you know what I mean. Like you rocking people to sleep, man. Like you name dropping too much,
That I've
man.
done this. I've done this. So you talking about? Please don't get me
No,
going.
boy, hey, that's what the chat's saying. I'm going off of the chat. But does anybody have a
I don't
couple
care.
more
They
questions?
still here. They
Tyrone
were here
said,
before you got here.
why Saban didn't offer T Rob the DC job? If you meant like why didn't Coach Saban offer it to him before he retired? I think see, everybody's agreeing with me. Everybody, sorry. Uh I think they discussed it for sure. Not I think they were discussing it. Then ultimately Coach Saban retired. And I mean, once he retires, he can't offer anybody anything really. Now I'm sure he could encourage them to hire T Rob, but again, from what I know, Georgia had been pursuing T. Rob. That didn't just
Tell
happen
them,
right after
Kenny.
Coach Saban retired. Um, Georgia had been pursuing him, and it was just a matter of once Coach Saban retired, things started moving quickly. I think T. Rob would have definitely entertained the idea of staying here, but they had to at least match things, right? If a school like Georgia is offering you co-defensive coordinator, a lump sum of money, it's familiar faces. You're there, Muschamp, Kirby, all these guys from the SEC that you've known for a while. Alabama had to move quick. That's why I was saying I don't think they moved quick enough. And unfortunately, Georgia, came in and tabbed them quick. But it's unfortunate, and I know how big of a piece he would have been to retain him. I think he's a hell of a coach. I know for a fact how involved he was in the defense last year in a coordinator role. So I think he would have been great to have. Let alone he's one of the best recruiters in the country. But you gotta move on. If he's locked in at Georgia, you just gotta move on. But great question. Um, That being said, man,
I'm gonna be easy, Ted. I'm at Twitter streets.
see that's
Simple
T,
to
and
me
that's
like
why I try to urge him. Like, even when I have some
oh,
criticism,
you
I
are
try to
always long
respectfully
winded.
say it. People
Especially on
say
our
I
radio
give the
show more
polished.
hour. I'm like, Lord have mercy. I can go to the bathroom. He still be saying that was kind of long, but
Listen, he's upset, guys.
but
I'm
I
sorry.
wanted them to get the gist of the story because
It's okay,
they're gonna
man.
get.
It's okay.
I
It's
ain't worried
okay.
about it. You think I'm worried about it? I just say I love it. I love running my mouth. Um,
We know. We know.
but I got turkey burgers that's done and with some feta cheese. Okay, I need to go eat.
That's
But
right. Me
listen,
too.
we're gonna start our show tomorrow. I
Appreciate it,
hope
Adam.
if you're not in Tuscaloosa, you can download that free app Tide 100.9 for real, for real.
Yep.
But the big thing is I summarize wrote in 1 minute. Lay off these dudes that are transferring. Leave them alone. Let them go. The guy's going to stay. Going to stay. Coach will bring in who he needs to bring in. The biggest thing is the defensive coordinator getting that staff right, keeping even the external guys, external people, women and men, from the trainer to the wait staff to the analysts that have been in Alabama, that they are able to relate to these guys. They're able to help keep this locker room together. I think, to me, that is imperative. It is imperative because if you don't, you're going to lose a lot of that locker room. And it's trending that way, not just that, even recruits going forward. Again, I'm not here to hate on him. Wasn't my number one choice, but it is what it is. That's what we got. That's what we roll with. That's who we support. But I can tell you this 100 that I'm watching. I'm going to be honest all through the process. Not going to be hoping he does bad or anything like that. But we're going to hold his feet to the fire because this championship a bust at the University of Alabama. And that you've had the best for 2 decades almost. You should demand the best, point blank. And so that's where we're going to be. And we're going to be fair. We'd love to get to know him. Hopefully, we can get him on a radio show. I love to talk some ball with him and pick his brain because I'll talk straight ball like me and Nick talked in his office about Belichick and all the good stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we can build a relationship there with the man and wish him great success. But it ain't gonna be like a lot of y'all think that it's just gonna be turnkey. It's gonna be Alabama as it was with Nick Saban. So hope everybody have a great blessed night. I'm gonna jump off of here, Chris. I'll let you close it out. But God bless you. Thanks for having way over 300 at live at one. I think that's might have been our most of anyone we've done at one time. So I'm
It's
very thankful.
close.
Good stuff. So I really appreciate all of you and roll tide, roll tide, roll tide, and we'll look when the DC come. I'll probably be jumping back on here and breaking that down. So keep us locked in. Pray that Caleb Downs don't leave because right now this is what happens. Yo, Caleb. 700, 800,000, 900,000, 1,000,000, 1.7.
Mm. Well, they're gonna have to pay up then. But I don't know though. Caleb seems like a down to earth guy, but I ain't gonna lie, it's hard to beat 1 point something million dollars. With that being said
Let me
though,
ask you this: if Georgia,
if they
Oregon,
offer me 1.5 million and my
and
coach
Alabama
just
offer
left,
you 200, which way are you going?
if my coach just left, I'm going to Georgia. If Coach Saban still was here, I probably would stick around and really, you know, appreciate all the lessons I'm learning. But if he left and then somebody offered me millions, I mean, that's kind of hard to turn down. But it is what it is. With that being said,
I ain't gonna lie
um,
to you. 1.7 as a high.
hey, that's I
Yeah,
mean, like, hey, if
I
you
love
invest
y'all
that,
titles,
listen,
but boy, can y'all give me 1.7?
if you invest it the right way, that can take you a long way. That being said, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Like my dad was saying, I will try to get Coach DeBoer on our radio show. Probably harder to get him on our podcast, but might be able to get him on our show pretty soon. But
You can't
if
get
you
them
do
on
want
these
to,
podcasts. We had to turn the comment section on.
no, we need to turn your mouth off because you got to. Oh, we're gonna hold his feet to the fire. Man, let's be respectful. Let's get to know him. Let's see what he has to offer. Let's take it slow. But that being said, if you guys want to listen to our radio show, we have a new time slot. We're now 2 hours instead of one, 12 to 2 Central Time, Monday through Friday on Tide 100.9. You can download the app. It's in the Apple App Store or Android App Store, or you can go to tide100.9.com and listen there. Go to our website, themillersedge.com. There's a link there. Or I think what I might try to do too, for everybody that likes coming on YouTube, I might try to set our podcasts up like this, while we do our show, and you can just hear us on a radio show, but we're talking like this. So I might try to do that as well for everybody that is used to checking us out on
It's gonna be
YouTube. But
fun.
yeah, it's gonna be
We
fun. But with that,
use your questions on the air too, by the way.
yeah, and you can always write in questions, and we'll answer them on air on the app if you download the app. So make sure you download the app, Tide 100.9, and tune in tomorrow, 12 to 2 Central Time. Check us out there. We'll be continuing this conversation, talking a lot. You can call in 205-342-9904 is the number. And then again, somebody asked about our other social media platforms. Follow us on X at the Miller's Edge, Instagram at the Miller's Edge, Facebook, TikTok, all that good stuff. You see it right there. Oh, right there. Those are all the links, all at the Miller's Edge. But you don't have to be in the area to get the radio station. Just go to tide100.9.com and hit listen live. You can listen from wherever. I've had people listen. We got people in California. We got shout out to Tia. We got people in Florida, Tennessee. We got people all the way overseas that have listened before. So check it out and stream it online. But I am going to try to do what we're doing now, just as we're in the studio. That way you guys can hear it. Now you won't be able to hear the callers or our producers for right now.
Michael
But I'm
won't
going to
stop.
try to
All
get
right,
that
Mike, you
figured
better
out.
chill out.
You said what?
Michael ain't stopped yet. Talking about the party, eat up the whole child with the stories. I
No,
don't tell stories
no,
on there.
he's not. And I forgot, guys. I have a mute button on my end over here, so I'm gonna start muting his stories, and I can get the producers to mute them. So don't worry. We're gonna cut them stories and name drop short. Don't worry, Michael. We got
Man,
you.
I did it one time, and that went 90 seconds.
No,
Y'all
that was
impatient
about
people.
4 minutes. That being said, you
Well,
guys
Pop
have a
still
great
got them
rest of y'all's
things, so
night,
let's go,
man.
baby. Pop still got them things. Let's go. Let's go.
There you
Get
go.
your mind right, Alabama. Let's go. They didn't even talk to him. I'm telling you right now, the anointing
Well,
that God is giving me,
it
I'm
starts
going to
without
speak
burning.
over them.
Well, don't burn bridges, and that might happen. So keep it
That's
honest,
what
but keep it respectful. That's the motto. Honest but respectful. That's how we roll on the Miller's Edge. But appreciate it, guys. Again, before we get out of here, like the video if you haven't already. Subscribe if you like the content. Drop a comment on your thoughts on the court, on the hires, the new coaches, the coordinators, the head coach, the transfer portal. Let us know in the comment section below. We'll see you guys next time. It's been the Miller's Edge. Later.
May the Lord bless y'all. Good night.